Alrighty y'all, welcome to Ellis Mowers. We got some mowing in the background, so pardon that. We're going to roll on to our next riding mower project here. It doesn't look like much, but trust me, it looks a lot better than you probably think it does. This is another, so y'all saw me work on a Husqvarna, which is exactly like a Craftsman. This is another Craftsman in disguise. It's a Wizard. I got the hood over here actually. It's a 14.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton overhead valve with the quiet package on it. It had a deck with it. It has a deck with it. The deck is sitting over. I can show you real quick. We're going to be taking some parts off of this one to fix it too. The deck is sitting right here. I've got a deck belt for it as well. So I got everything I need to get it going. I just need to get it going. This is a Wizard, like I mentioned. It was probably built sometime, I don't know how many of these square bodied Craftsmans and knockoff Craftsmans I've had this year, but so I'm looking at Western Auto. Apparently was the parent company of Wizard. Here's your model number 7143B89. Made in the USA, Kansas City, Missouri. Your serial number is your date or your month 3/31/98. So this is a 98 model. Seen worse for a 98 model. I've actually seen worse in like a 2007 model. So really not too bad. Like I said, I got the deck with it. Things right off the bat that I have noticed with it. I'm going to clean the gas tank out of it. Shouldn't be too bad. But you can see it's got a bunch of crud and residue in the gas tank because the gas cap rubber piece came off of it. I think the gas cap's salvageable though. Because literally all the rubber's gone off of it now, so it's not really gonna, throw rubber into the tank. I can see that dirt is plugged in the tank there, so something's happened to this thing. Let's see, is the fuel line even in it? Yeah, there's some fuel line in it, but they cut the fuel line off because, as you can see right here, I've got a carb that's missing a bowl and all that. This is not salvageable. I've got a carburetor here. I'm gonna pop on it, see if we can get it fixed that way. And we're gonna first off get it running. I got 3 flat tires on it. Once we get it running, I think the steering mechanism and everything's good on it. Then we'll worry about putting the deck and everything back on it. I think we'll be a good luck. I think we'll have good luck with this one. I've got all the parts here already, which is why I'm tackling this one as opposed to another one. I think this one's going to be relatively quick to put back together. So let me go ahead and get started. Like I said, I think everything throttle and choke wise looks like it's working like it should. Obviously the choke is stuck because of this old carb on this thing, and also no air filter and cover and stuff on it. But I have decent air filters and covers and all that right here. Got one right here for it, so we're in good shape when it comes to that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the carburetor on, put some fuel line in it and put a battery in it after I check the oil. The oil is low, but I can probably run it on that just to test it out. I'll do those. I'll take the gas tank off as well first off, and I'm just going to shake everything out of it and get that little port cleaned out so that I actually have gas flow running to what we're going to do on the new carburetor. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me grab the tools and we'll do all this on camera because I know y'all like seeing me work, and I need to do a better job about showing y'all that I actually halfway know how to do stuff, I guess. But let me go ahead and get the tools that I need, and I'll catch back up with y'all in just a second. Alrighty y'all, we're going to take the gas tank off first. All you need is a basic socket and ratchet set. I usually like using an impact like this to get things off. And a 3/8 will take off the tank here. On both sides. Might want to separate your hardware. Usually I just throw it all in a bucket because I've done so many of these. Shroud comes off. Gas tank will come off rather easily here. So I'm basically, I'll do this off camera, I'm basically going to shake all the debris out of this. I'm going to take the remainder of this gas line off, and then I'm going to obviously unplug the dirt that's in it. And that should fix it. I don't see any visible cracks or anything in it, which is a good sign. Yeah, I don't see any visible cracks, which is good. So, next order of business. We'll take the carb off. This is real easy. There's a 7/16 right there. There's supposed to be a 7/16 right here, but it's not there. And there's a 3/8, or no, 5/16 on the top, which you can usually just take out with one of these nut drivers. If not, you can get, yeah, there we go, you can just get a 1/4 inch, but this is plastic, metal screw into plastic, so it doesn't take a lot of strength. You also don't want to tighten it back up very tight. Whenever you do put it back in, I'll take this one off first. Somebody has already done the liberty of taking off one of these carb intake bolts here. So we'll take off the other. And I got plenty of those type nuts. I keep getting screwing my nuts and bolts up. Oh. I don't have any nuts and bolts in my head apparently. Alright. It'll eventually come off. Might be bringing the whole shebang with it, I'm not sure. I think it is. There we go. Alright, it took the whole shebang off, so, which ain't a bad thing. And it's my doing, it doesn't really matter, but I got a bunch of like pine tree debris and stuff in this carb, so. But it was already like this when I originally got it, so it's not really been no big deal. So we've gotten the carb off. What I usually do is I take the choke cable off first. Choke cable is the easiest to do. Choke cable just comes off like so. You could lay it right there in the little groove that it fits in, or I usually just lay it to the side. One of the mowers I did recently, I forgot to put the choke cable back on it. It's like, why is it so hard to start? That would be why. Alright, and then I just took the throttle cable and stuff off too. The governor seems like it's in great shape on this, so that's good. I'm hoping. Yeah, I can hear it working. So this has got the metal intake pipe. I really like the metal intake pipes. I got a gasket to fit on this. This is, I believe this is a Walboro. Yeah, it's definitely a Walboro carburetor. Because the Nickies have like the whole assembly comes down on them. So Sad thing is, this was too far gone to even do anything with. And these things are getting old to the point where they're leaking needles and seats. And I don't really bother going through the process of rebuilding them. Because it's like a car. Everything gets old with some age, and things start breaking, and there's a point where you don't even worry about it. So we'll chuck this. I'll get the new carburetor. We'll put the new carburetor on it and the new gas line next. Alrighty, y'all, here's the new carburetor. What I usually do, you can look at the model number of this, which I believe is, well, if the shroud didn't take it off, I believe this is a 2.8. Is you 281707, I think. What I got is like a 31N707 carburetor. It seems like these do a lot better, because these are just cheap knockoffs. It's only like 25 bucks for the thing. These things do a lot better at not surging on all aspects. I have used them in 12 horsepower engines, flatheads. I've also used them in this application right here before, and I haven't had any issues, which is kind of nice. Let's see, this is the way it's going to go. So we're going to pop on we're putting the throttle on now, we're putting the spring on. Spring's always a little tricky. Just have to get in that little bitty hole. There we go. Now what I usually do, I'm going to take the original gasket and use it, because it is a lot thicker and a lot better quality than the gasket that comes with this. And I got that nut off too. So, got to put your choke arm back in too. Don't forget that. Choke arm goes in that hole. Feed it right through that groove right there in the back that you see. So we're going to put this choke, we're going to put this on. I'm going to go ahead and feed these bolts, double threaded bolts, through everything, and then we're going to put them in. So there we go, that's one side. When you get the other side, you need a 5/16 or an 8mm deep well to do that. So we'll go ahead and tighten these up. Again, don't force anything, because you're talking about aluminum. Threads and all that. Alright, so next I'm going to put the air filter cover back on. I'm going to clean it out a little bit on the inside, so it's not throwing in all that junk that it got from sitting outside. Silly me, I should have put the hood on it. Should have put some sort of cover on it, but it didn't penetrate past the carburetor, so I'm not terribly worried. We're putting the breather tube back on here on the top. Alright, there we go. And now I'm going to just fit it through the little grooves that we took it out of, right there on the carburetor. It just fits in the bolts that we just screwed into the carburetor. Now we're going to take our hardware for our nuts with our 7/16 and put them back on. Hardware. I'm just going to bolt these back in, and voila, once I finish with this. Might not want to tighten them all the way first. That way you can put your 5/16 inch bolt right into here without struggling to move the air filter housing. I'll just go ahead and screw this in as well. Alright, so we put a carburetor in on it. The other one wasn't even salvageable. I didn't even have a bowl or a float or anything like that on it. So that was an easy decision, if you know what I mean. This is one of them Nicky knockoffs, but now that I've kind of learned how to order them, I'm not terribly worried about them. So we're on. I'll go ahead and even plug in this solenoid thing. There. So that's on. Now let me tackle the gas tank and the fuel line, and then we will figure out the whole battery and see if this thing will run. Alright, now next thing, there's still a little bit of residue in the tank, but I've cleaned out the tank the best that I can. Didn't rinse it out or anything, but I got the hole fixed for the drain. So what I'm going to do now is, it's a lot easier to do this without having the tank strapped down. But I got this fuel line here. Came with the carburetor. I got other fuel line too, but I'm kind of running low on that stuff. I'm going to take the fuel line clamp right here, open it up, put it onto the fuel line, drop it onto the tank. Okay, so that is on, and now you just fit this into the slots right there. Fits perfectly like so. And then there's this hole right here. We're going to pop the fuel line through, like so. Now what I'll do is I'm going to grab a shutoff switch. I'm going to put a shutoff switch right here. So let me grab that real quick. How about y'all come with me? Because we're on this adventure together, aren't we? Venture into the abyss of what I've got here. Primer bulbs. Of course, I just changed around all my stuff too, so this is not going to be fun. And my file got corrupted while I was looking for things. Sorry about that. Found the shutoff switch, and I found a fuel filter. I'm actually out of fuel filters right now. I took it off of a mower that I'm going to be doing an engine replacement on, so it doesn't really matter anyways. It's in good shape. It's not the it's the paper type, but it's should work perfectly fine for the intents and purposes that it will be used for. So let's put this clamp on. And the fuel filter. And I don't know what way y'all do it. It just kind of depends on ease of use for me, or ease, of getting to it. And, how easy it is for me to actually put the filter, the filter and all that good stuff on it. But what we could do now, just to be sure that this is what we want to do here, is go ahead and bolt the shroud back down right there. Then go ahead and put the tank down because we shouldn't have to worry about the tank anymore. Let's see. And again, not very tight. Not very tight. So what I'm going to do is get some more fuel line. Got it right here. Just going to cut a couple of small pieces out. So I'm going to cut a small piece out, sorry, and put the fuel filter on the other side of the shutoff. I don't really have a preference as to what side I put them on. Like I said, it depends on the day and depends on the location of where everything is on the mower. So put that clip on. And you just continue. You just continue on like so. And I'll continue off camera. There's no need for me to show you the entire thing. But I'll put the fuel filter on right here. And then I'll put the remainder fuel line. You just have to measure it. Just go the direction of the arrows. So we're going to go this way with the fuel filter. I need another clip. So I'll get another clip, put the fuel filter and the remaining fuel line on here. I'll put a battery in it. Put a little bit of gas in it, and who knows what might happen. We might blow something up. We might have a running mower. It just depends. I'll catch y'all in just a second. Alright, so I know a couple of things by just putting a battery in it. Number one, the stator is shorting out. Because what's happening is these wires right here are super hot, right? Especially right here at the connector. I'm wondering if the ground wire is broken off on the inside of it. I'm not sure. Or if it's fried at the connector, or if the grounding wire is not plugged in. I don't know. I don't know if I'll even take the cover and the flywheel off to even investigate that. We'll see. We'll see how well it runs. If it does, I might try. But if, you know, if it's, I might look at this connector here because the connector doesn't look very good. You can see it's burnt right there on the inside. Apparently, I guess it's not connected to the fuse, so it didn't blow the fuse or anything. But let me show you. The starter solenoid is kind of hit and miss. Well, it was hit and miss. But it is turning the engine, so first, let me throw a little carb clean in there and see if we can at least get it to kick over for us. Uh-oh. It tried. Backfired. I think it's got some water in it. One more time. Well, it could be a fouled plug. It could be an array of things. Could be a sheared flywheel key. Let's just see. At least we know that should be working. I don't know why I'm getting gas down there at the bottom of the, or a carb smell on the bottom of the carb right there. I guess it maybe just ran down through there. So that's tight. Should be tight. I'll throw a little gas in it and let's see what happens. Alrighty, I primed it. Let's see what happens now. I just blew some, made sure the fuel was getting in there. And let's see if it'll try. Like this. As long as I got enough traction, let's see if this thing will move. Oh boy. The problem is, wow, that thing is smooth. No backfire when I turned it off either. How about that? All right, so I got some issue with the, I don't know if it's with the transmission or I don't think it's with the transmission. I think it's just the fact that these tires are so flat and they're off the rim that I can't even, it doesn't give it enough pull to go. Because obviously it's, should go, move forward and all that good stuff, but it's on flat spots and the tires are just shot on the back. I feel it trying to move. The belt's going crazy, but it's not moving. And I guess I can confirm if I can get the jack over here. Wow, that thing runs great, doesn't it? It just had a little bit of water that it had to purge out of the system, which I was hoping that was the case and not a flywheel key. I just got to figure out why the stator is trying to fry itself. Of course, with a good battery, it's not really going to matter that much because it's a cheap lawnmower. But well, I guess we could try this. It's probably not the most easy thing to do, but we'll eliminate the tires as issues, I guess, right? Yeah. belt. Some kind of bad. Alright, so we know the transmission works. The drive belt is just, whoa, man. Drive belt's just in pretty rough shape. So that's, I think it's the drive belt, not the pulleys. Oh, I know what it is. I don't have the little stabilizer rod for the, I'm pretty sure I don't have the little stabilizer rod for the brakes. And so it's just wobbling back and forth because there's nothing to suspend it. It's just wobbling back and forth like so, because you're supposed to tighten that up. So the rod will probably fix the issue with the drive. So I'm not going to drive it anymore like it is. I will put the rod on it first, which I have parts for all of this, which is a good thing. So it's running. And the next order of business is probably fixing the transaxle. Off camera real quick, I'm going to go ahead and put tire tubes in this tube, this tire, and that tire in the right front. The left front. Man, I got my directions and tire tubes messed up. But that one's good. And I need to put one in that one. So let me go ahead and take care of that. And then I'll show you, we'll finish out part one by, I'll show you how to fix all the, fix the whole ordeal with the transmission and all that good stuff. I think I'm going to take it off of my Yard Pro that I got here earlier, because this is the exact same setup, it's just in a different clothing, so to speak. I need that rod right there, my little stabilizer rod. So we'll see if that fixes things for me. And if it doesn't, then I'll put a drive belt on it. But we got to put that on regardless. So let me go ahead and do that. Get us to that point, and then I'll catch y'all in just a second. Alrighty, y'all, I found the problem. It ain't the belt. It's the transaxle pulley. Do you see? I don't know if you can see how rusted out the top of that pulley is, but it is rusted completely. So I can do one of two things. Either one's probably just as easy as the other. I can take the transaxle out and just swap the transaxle with this Yard Pro that I have out here. Is the exact same transaxle, linkages and all. Or I can order a pulley. I think I'm leaning towards just replacing the whole transaxle. Because here's all you got to do is take those two bolts off right there on each side, and then it'll just drop, and then you have you can either take it off right here or right here, one of the two, whichever one you decide you want to do. It might be easier to take it off right here. And then, because there's no springs or anything associated with it like Murray's, which I am excited about. And then all you got to do is take it off right here. The two bolts and nuts, and the two bolts and nuts right there, and you're done. So, and I can show you the same. I've got the same setup here on this Yard Pro. I'm gonna have to start tightening up here because it's about to throw down on me. But the same setup on the Yard Pro, if you look. And this is actually, and the pulley's in a lot better shape. I believe this is a 6-speed. Let's see, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this is a 6-speed versus a 5-speed. And obviously, I'm just using it for the motor and transmission. I gotta put tire tubes in anyway, so it's like, you know, I can hit up some white spray paint and make that look nice. It's the same setup, as you can see. 2 bolts right there, 2 bolts right there, and the bolts on the side. They build these things to fit right, you know, to fit right in there. So this one just mounts on the ends instead of in the toward the middle like the Yard Pro does. So, because I think the pulleys are a little bit different on that, and I could, if I do that, I don't need any items. I can get this thing out within a couple of days as opposed to a little over a week. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to take the transaxles out of these things and just let it ride like this. Because I've got a good transaxle. I had a good pulley off of this one, but I had to use it on another mower. So, but that transaxle is still good. It's only a 4-speed, and I don't have any other transaxles lying around. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to throw this transaxle in, because there's a different, the pulley is different on, or the way that the pulley attaches is a little bit different. It's a nut instead of a ring, which I'll show it to you. So I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and end part 1 here because we got it running. I'm going to go ahead and do an oil change on it. That way I don't have to worry about it. This thing runs amazing though. I'm happy to hear that. Got to put the park brake on. I think the solenoid worked itself out too, which is nice. It just needed some love. But here. Hate to even tear the thing apart for just a stator. I might see if the little connection right here with the, I guess it's an inline resistor. I wonder if that resistor went bad and it's causing the issue, because I can feel them spinning. And it's just baking itself for whatever reason, and I don't want this thing to be baking itself. Could just not be having a good ground, but I can see that it looks like it's been trying to fry something for a while, as you can see right there. So anyways, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We might not even try and cross it. We might just let it ride. Sold, like I said, sold one just like this. It was a weed eater for $400 with no problems apart from that. So, well, here's what we'll do in part 2. I'm going to go ahead and clean up for the day because I'm at a good stopping point after I change the oil in this. We'll put transaxle in it. And because that's the best route for me to take right now given the parts that I have. And I think the transaxle pulley is $30. Don't quote me on it. But I'm not going to use that mower for anything. So I'll clean up. I'm going to put a transaxle in this thing, and we'll do all that in part 2. And I will catch you then. You can see me at Ellis Mowers 09 on Instagram and Facebook, and right here on YouTube. See you next time.